Rusty's Crypto Cave, and today's video is going to be a wrap-up of July and how the month went. Some of the things that changed during the month of July. I did turn off my 1660 Ti's. I did that fairly early in the month, and I mine for maybe for 10th up to the 10th or 12th of July, somewhere in there is when I shut them off. So I'm going to get them cleaned up and get them sold. 3070 Ti's have been off for a while, 3060 Ti's, 3070s, all that stuff's been off. The only thing that's been running, so I have one CMP 110, or CMP 100 210 rig running on Xelis, and another one on Ergo. That's pretty much the only thing that's mining, other than the Jazz miner is still mining Octaspace, and then a whole slew of Bitcoin solo miners mining to my own node. And the AL0 and the RX0 are still here mining at home, and that's about it. The S21 is hosted at Metered Mining up in Minnesota somewhere, and the L9 is with Terra hosting. I believe that's out in Wyoming. Probably will be moving to Indiana soon, which would be nice because a new lower rate would be nice to have. So that to look forward to. I believe that will be taking effect sometime in September. So we got one more month at Terra with the current rate, and then that will be dropping. So that should help with the profitability as far as that goes. But CPU rigs, those guys are still going too. The CPU rigs are still mining. RandomX being converted to Cardano, and then the Cardano's being staked on Coinbase. So the number of transactions has been falling just because it's only 48 over here, and didn't even fill this list up, and so on and so forth. And Geonet having, so I'm getting half as many. Don't always get a Geonet payout every day because they only pay when you're over 10. Because if you're under 10, you won't get the payout. So that's why you'll see here there's a payout here of 21 because the previous day I didn't receive a payout. And then, or actually no, that was the last day of the full rewards, and then this is the first day of the halving, and then the 4th, 5th, 6th. Yeah, the 7th there was no Geonet payout in the 7th because then the 8th I got paid 20. And then another time here, there wasn't a Geonet payout on the 14th. So that went to 20, so on and so forth. But overall, wasn't a terrible month, other than the surprise I got from my electric company. Yeah, those freaking bastards. So you'll see that when I get to the electricity tab. But as far as the total income and stuff for the month we got going on here, this hasn't been updated in a while, so that's going to change drastically because of the recent sell-off. But total revenue from mining from the nodes and DeFi, DPIN, I still didn't change that yet. It'd be 1385.10. To get an idea, I had 2 Elysium payouts for 20 Elysium. I'll zoom in a little bit more here. And value of $6.58. My monthly Bitcoin payout for 342, 0.00297, 340. 2,500 Doge for 538 bucks. 195 Demo for 10 bucks, just under 11. 211 Quai, so that's basically about 4 payouts because I was getting payouts at 50 Quai for just under $12. 60 Flux for 14 bucks. Flux had some interesting things going on last month too. I'm debating about whether to make a video on it or not. May have a controversial take on it, but we'll see. I might do one. Got 70 Ergo for 70 bucks, 46 Xelis for 72 bucks, and then 43 Cardano. 47,250 in the Oxa for 8 bucks. It's enough to cover one node, and $2 is the next one, so I'm losing 4 bucks a month on those guys. 40 Octaspace for $17. 0.4 Litecoin for 40 bucks. 347 Geonet for $59. So that was substantially, that was basically double. It was pretty much $100 and some a month I was getting off of Geonet. Was more too, but the coin price has been tanking as well. 0.1 Chia for a whopping $1. 203 pre-search for 71 cents. That is running on I don't pay to host nodes on that anymore. That's just running on the Raspberry Pi at home. And then 35,000 on the Radiant for the month for $7. And then 47.5 Helium for 151 bucks. So now actually Helium just had a halving too. So we're going to see how the rewards on that are going to be going forward. So that will be going down. But like I said, $1,385 of revenue for the month. And let's hop over to we're going to go to electricity. So yeah, here's where some of the shit came in. Electric bill $1364.30. Went up substantially. Basically, it's almost a 50% increase month over month. Yeah, electric rate went to 24 cents. Was down here. This I know when my contract ended, and then I know I thought there was a more permanent plan. It was right around 10 cents plus the 5 cents distribution, but apparently it wasn't. And they whacked me almost 25 cents per kilowatt, 24.3 cents a kilowatt. Yes, that sucked. So was not expecting that. So I called them up and was bitching and complaining and switching suppliers and stuff like that. And my bill cutoff is actually going to be August 14th, 15th, somewhere around there. So I'm trying to get it done as quick as possible before that, but sometimes they dick around and they don't process the change until your billing cycle resets and stuff like that. So who knows? We'll see. But, it should be lower next month, but probably not that much. Just because part of the month is definitely going to be at least on the higher rate. But anyway, for the month, 74 kilowatts used by the 1660 Ti's, whereas last month it was running all month, used 567. So you can see it's not even 10 days. Maybe it was even sooner than that I shut them off. 3060 Ti's are off. 3070 Ti's are off. The shed, 2297. There's little goofy things. I had to basically do an average because I just had to reset my Emporia device, which I never noticed, and it basically only recorded data up until the 12th, and then pretty much everything else for the month was not recorded. So, and it was pretty. What I did to figure that number out was I just calculated an average as far as the first 12 days of the month, what the average per day was. Did that for 20 more days, added it to the first 12 days or first 11 days actual, so on and so forth, and got the 31 days of power usage and right there, which fell pretty close to in line to June, so it wasn't too far off. So that number is not 100% accurate, but plus or minus 2-3%, it's gonna be really, really close. So, and then CPU rigs used a little bit more power at 350 kilowatt hours for the month, and then the total kilowatt was 2722. And that's mainly because shutting down the 1660 Ti's is mainly where that came from. And then $661 of electricity used for mining for the month. And then actually down below here, I did a little breakdown. This was the breakdown from July, or not for July, for June for the salad rigs. This is the breakdown for July for the salad rigs. That's the desktop rig, so that's the one I'm working on here now as far as editing. That used about $30 of power for the month. And then the one in the basement, which used to be the Warthog rig, is also a 4070 Ti Super. That used about $60 of electric for the month. And then so used about $90 of electric for the month and only had $85 of revenue. So that's not going to work. And that's mainly because of the freaking power rate increase, getting boned by my power company. So, and part of it's my fault for not paying closer attention to it. Yeah. Got to eat that, move on, and then try to. I'm probably have to start playing some freaking supplier carousel again, just to try to keep on getting the lowest rate. And a lot of them only offer their lowest rates to new customers, and some of them are already used for like introductory periods, so not eligible because I'm no longer a new customer and all that stuff. So, yeah, kind of sucks. And actually, PPNL pretty much in Pennsylvania, power is going up again next year. So it's getting pretty disgusting. So part of me has me even thinking about like just doing some, I mean just for mining stuff, but just as far as for the house, do solar, and because pretty much the whole back half of the roof gets sun all the time, and just do some solar panels up there just for even the normal house electric and stuff, just to offset it as much as I can. So just because the more expensive the electricity gets, the more beneficial solar becomes, because you're saving more per kilowatt hour used and all that stuff. So that may be an option. So I'll look into that at some point. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. So let's hop over to income statement. And my big old head's blocking some stuff here, so let me zoom back out. Oh, wrong way. Let's see. $110 to $125. All right, whatever. All right. So my big old melon's blocking some stuff here, so let's see. Actually, I'll pop my head off here. That way. There we go. Big old melon's not in the way anymore. So, all right. So here is from what it looks like for July. This is at the time of mining too. So this was not. So at the time the coins were mined and put in my wallet, $1,140.24, $23 in node income. D-pin was $221, electric $661. The nodes $28 for the Flux node, 2 pre-search at $12. Terra bill was $256.61. Meteor mining's $217, and then it leaves the profit at $426. And then, and mainly, most of that is basically from the increase of Dogecoin and stuff. So that's why it ended up being. But even though the electric rate was even higher, it was actually more profitable because of the Doge price and Dogecoin increase. And then this is actually, we're going to have to update this. We're going to give a refresh now. So as you see, currently see it shows a positive 446. That number is going to be changing dramatically. Alrighty, apparently there's some kind of issue with that script and the API call thing with Google Sheets, because it kept giving me an error. It says the app is blocked from my Google account because I was trying to access sensitive information, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if I can figure something else out. But yeah, so this is not going to be updated. This is, I don't remember the last time I updated this, but yeah, it's definitely not that. It's going to be lower just because the price of the coins have gone down. So unfortunately, won't be able to do that for now. Hopefully I can get things figured out, maybe do it for next month, or maybe do an update by a short or something like that, and if this changes. But yeah, so that's where, so we're kind of stuck there, but it is what it is. So overall, really can't complain. Wasn't too terrible of a month. The biggest complaint though would be the electric rate. That's the biggest thing I could bitch about, and I gotta get that straightened out, and it's still not gonna be that bad. It's still not gonna be good. It's like Pennsylvania power rates will just keep going up and up and up and up and up, and I don't think it's gonna get any better because with all the people building data centers and stuff, I think Amazon's moving one to Pennsylvania and stuff too, and all that. It's just gives them a reason to increase the price of electric is what it's going to be, I think. So may have to look to some alternative uses and stuff like that, and maybe even do something like a little mini solar setup in the shed just for some of the small devices and just to play around, tinker around with something and play with stuff. So that may be an option. Go the way of chump change, not as extravagant and as large of a shed and as large of a setup, but maybe a couple panels on the shed roof just to maybe power some small devices or something like that, but that's about it. So, and then maybe a more professional setup on the roof of the house, pay somebody to do that, and just to offset the electric for the house. So yeah, but other than that, that's about it. That's where we stand. Basically $1,300 of revenue, $400 ish of profit. No, that can't be right. Hold on a second. $1,485, 6. Oh no, yeah, that number is lower. We have to do. There it is. That's more like it. Yeah, that's a little bit more accurate. All right, there we go. Thought that kind of seemed high because you got 660 there. This is right with 460, 470 ish, somewhere in there. So that's what 1130. So that shouldn't be. Yeah, that's more like it. So, all right, yeah, $200. Okay, that makes more sense. So, in my mind as I was talking, I was like, that kind of doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, I was missing this column in the formula here. So this is this plus this plus this minus 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 to that. So whoops. So anyway, yeah, $200. So yeah, not as good. But and biggest thing is the electric. So because that was basically $160 more in electric cost for 500 kilowatts less used for the month. So use less power, but still paid more. No bueno. So yeah, I gotta get that fixed and straightened out, and maybe power down some more devices. I'm even seriously thinking about just powering down the CMP cards, just because it's not worth it. Why run them? So, and maybe just dick around with my little soul miners and things like that, and the little deep pin devices and stuff that I have going, and if get some massive pumps or something like that, maybe I do have all the rigs I can turn them back on, but GPU mining's pretty much on life support. Paddles are out, and hasn't been good in a while. So, well, what are you gonna do? Can't do anything. So, you just gotta change and adapt, and do different things. So I like to tinker with stuff, so that's why I kind of like playing around with some of these little solo miners and things like that. So it's kind of fun to play around with and all that. So I'll keep that to entertain myself. The DPN projects. I still didn't move the Wingbits device. That's still on the original location. I still have to get up on the roof and stuff. But it's either been raining or fucking scorching hot out. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So I'll move it eventually. Maybe. I'll just leave it where it's at. So anyway, now I'm just rambling on. So anyway, till next video. Catch you later.